do for him if he's going to mount any kind of a challenge on the leading division in the race.
Yeah, and still it's getting darker and darker here. Dick Johnson leading from John Bow. Two short cars on screen, nothing separating them. Andrew Badecki in third, Tony Longhurst in fourth, Colin Bond closing the gap a little in fifth and charging through the field after a fairly slow start. Okay, let's check the Castrol scoreboard and the progress in this race with 10 laps down, and Dick Johnson is the leader from John Bow in second position, Andrew Badecki third in the Moxo Motorsport entry, Tony Longhurst fourth, and rounding out the top five, Colin Bond in the Caltex Sierra. We're back after this break.
Down comes the rain as we return to Wanneroo, and Jim Richards spinning out as he goes through the bottom corner in car number one, the mobile BMW. Goodness me, the action's coming thick and fast here. Now the track is as slick as anything. It's really pouring down here.
Not just pouring, it's torrential. Goodness me, Alan Moffat spears off the road, highlighting once again why on earth are people standing by the side of the racetrack. Goodness me.
Well, Moffat had just passed in the previous lap Larry Perkins and was making such a good run. Goodness me, there's Jim Richards again.
They'll have to come in for wets. Perkins has come to the pits. If he can get wet tyres on, Tony Noski is off in the Kalari entry. Andrew Bagnall has come in. Longhurst has spun his car. Mayhem at Wanneroo.
Oh, look at this. There is a buzz.
Absolutely teeming rain as Peter McLeod sprint cars his way onto the pit straight. Off go the two leaders.
Goodness me, Johnson and Bow both off. Can they recover? Yes, Bow can.
They go straight to the pits. They've got to go to the pits.
Must do. Murray Carter as well.
It even suggests they may be
Badecki. Carter's staying out there.
Okay, Perkins has gone back out of pits. Look at, that's Murray Carter trying to drive in a straight line. There's so much water on the road, it's an impossible task. The crowd can't believe it. We can't believe it. Okay, so Dick Johnson for full west. Now, the difficult thing here is I can still see sunshine in the background. It's very likely that they may have to make another rubber change before the end of this race as Colin Bond goes off on the Caltex Ford Sierra at the bottom of the straight. There must be something on the track there other than just water that these guys are too experienced. And someone else joins him as well. In fact, it's Longhurst.
Nudge the fence, Longhurst as well. They're having a hell of a time getting out of this position.
Total ridiculous mayhem. John Bow to the pits. We need about 338 cameras to cover all this.
It's all happening so fast that the rain broke and came down in torrents, almost, well, not without warning, because we did mention it several times.
Red flag is out.
Race has stopped. The race has been halted.
Well, that was, I'd say, a pretty sensible decision by the clerk, of course. There's outrageous things going on all around the course. It's dangerous for all competitors, all spectators and officials. And the Confederation and the clerk, of course, have done the right thing.
Goodness gracious me.
Gerald Kay trying to figure out which way is up. Larry Perkins spots the red flag. I've never seen anything like this in my entire motor racing life. It all happened on lap 15 of 45, round 4 of the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship.
They're the top 10 positions.
The national flag goes up just as Andrew Badecki drives out of pit lane to join the field, so he's one lap down as the field gets away. Tony Longhurst made a good jump, so did Larry Perkins. In fact, most of the Sierras getting away pretty cleanly considering how fast and hard those turbos come on. John Bow the leader to the first turn, Dick Johnson to second. You can see just how wet it is out there. Bow, Johnson, Perkins, Moffat lurking there in fourth or fifth. Moffat drops back quickly though. It's Longhurst in fourth, then Richards, Bond, then followed by Peter Brock, Alan Moffat. Oh, look at John's car sliding everywhere. Great start though from Larry Perkins, who put power to the ground on a very breezy road quite quickly. There's quite large puddles at the bottom of the circuit down there. This is the restart, fresh race, 45 laps the duration, round 4 of the Touring Car Championship. Cars spearing all over the place. Peter Brock assaulting Colin Bond at the moment as they come down this very fast back straight. John Bow coming through to complete lap 1 of 45 with a very, very healthy lead over his team leader.
Oh, very twitchy there.
2:29 seconds. Evans, Longhurst, Jim Richards, Colin Bond, Peter Brock, Andrew Bagnall, the next man through, Andrew Madecki, Alan Moffat, Tony Noski, Murray Carter and John Smith. This is the scrap for 4th place. Longhurst, car number 3, just ahead at the moment of Jim Richards. It's slippery out there.
Yeah, it's going to take a while too, as I said, to establish a decent dry line. Until that happens, it's going to be a bit hairy still.
I'll tell you what, I was impressed with the way that John Bow started. Got away very quickly and is increasing his lead at the moment over Dick Johnson, just out to 3 seconds now. 3rd, 4th and 5th we're looking at now.
Yes, Bow has been notoriously slow at the starts for the previous rounds of the Shell Touring Car Championship. Taking advantage of the circumstances here. He's got away like grease lightning. Perkins trying to challenge on the outside.
No, Longhurst going through on the inside, rather. And Jim wants a piece of that action. He goes underneath Larry Perkins, side by side as they go through the S's.
Short back and sides for Larry from both of them.
They go around this sweeping left-hander now. Very difficult part of the track over the top of Nissan Skyline. The camber of the road changes already. Something of a dryish line starting to develop now. The cars are getting just a little more grip. Those on wets will be channeling plenty of water out from under the car. Former teammates, JPS teammates, Tony Longhurst and Jim Richards in vastly different motor vehicles this year. Jim Richards, always talked about as the rainmaster, getting an opportunity now to really show his stuff. The yellow flag's being shown to the leaders at the moment. I can't see who's run off, but John Bow certainly got a comfortable lead. That's the answer to that question. Andrew Bagnall was the man that went off. Still 3 seconds between the two Shell cars, and then this scraps the 3rd. Tony Longhurst and Jim Richards. And they've now substantially dropped Larry Perkins off, who's falling into the clutches of Peter Brock. Some real pressure on Tony Longhurst. Not only does he have to control his own race, but he has to try and somehow defend from Jim Richards. A very difficult set of circumstances.
Yes, Richards pushing hard too as they head up the back of the course through the S's. They head up the hill once more. Richards really relishing the task here in the still wet conditions.
The BMW, in theory at least, should be a little easier to drive in these conditions. Perhaps not as vicious as the Ford now. Jim just comfortably outbrakes Tony Longhurst, who gave him plenty of room. Jim has to keep it all cocked up sideways to come out the other side, but he makes it with an inch to spare. Now the power of the Ford Sierra will be evident. Jim can't do much about a car that's as quick as this, but what will happen at the bottom? No. The extra braking ability of the BMW comes in very handy. Trying to guess at the moment as to who's gone out on what tyres, because the sun is now starting to peer out here, and fellas who are on wet weather tyres, full wets particularly, are going to find themselves in a lot of strife, because those tyres will literally melt. Much softer compound than an ordinary slick racing tyre. Even the fellas on intermediates will find life pretty tough.
I think we might be seeing that now, Neil. Jim Richards and the BMW guys were going out on slick tyres, Brock and Richards, and Tony Longhurst, as Frank Gardner told us, was going to opt for the safety first way and go with a groove tyre. And perhaps already the heat's getting into that groove tyre. Certainly Tony's dropping a little off the pace.
Dick Johnson's narrowed the gap down to his teammate to just 1.3 seconds. Jim Richards charging at the moment and has made the right decision. This is going to develop into just an absolute fascinating battle here on who's gone for what rubber. 3rd place Jim Richards rounding up Gerald Kay, then Longhurst, Madecki, Brock. Bagnall, remember, had a spin. I'm not sure where Andrew figures in the bunch at the moment either, because he went out, was a lap down. He's 5th, so that's a great charge through the field. Andrew Bagnall has come into the pit area, still got some problems with that car of his as we watch Jim Richards